Hello everyone, welcome to my Flosstube channel. My name is jussylee and I'm coming at you with video number 34. I'm back. About the normal amount of time has passed since my last Flosstube, but I did just finish up my third week of college classes and they have kept me very busy, so I don't actually have a lot of cross stitch to show you guys, but I really just wanted to come back on here and chat. And I also wanted to announce the winner of the giveaway I announced in my last video. It was for this pamphlet, Wreaths for All Seasons. And I did the drawing for the winner this past Monday, Labor Day, like I said I would. And the winner was Mary Ellen Vieira. So congratulations, Mary Ellen. I did leave a comment on your comment in that video letting you know you won, but I'm guessing you haven't seen it, so I will put my email in the description box of this video so you can get in touch with me and let me know what address I should send your pamphlet to. I was excited that Mary Ellen's name got drawn by my kids, Glenn and Sylvia, because she is a frequent commenter here on my channel. She always has nice things to say, and she's the person who I stole the idea from to stitch the text on my alphabet sampler in green. And it's turned out really pretty, so thank you, Mary Ellen, for that idea. When Glenn and Sylvia did the little drawing, it was super cute. I had them both work together. Sylvia held the Totoro bowl that we always do the drawing from, and Glenn drew the slip of paper, and I helped them read Mary Ellen's name, and Sylvia was cheering and saying congratulations, and Glenn was really excited because Sylvia was excited, but I don't think he actually totally understood what was going on, but it was a really cute video I took. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, my phone saved it in some strange file format that I'm not familiar with. I don't know what I did wrong or why that happened, but the editing program that I use on my phone for my videos will not read it. So I'm not able to trim that clip or add it to this video at all. So I'm really bummed because it was just a really cute video clip. I still have the footage, but I just cannot show it to you guys, unfortunately. But Mary Ellen did win. I had 6 people enter the giveaway, so thank you for playing. I really enjoyed reading what your favorite season is. Fall, by far, predictably, was the most popular, so I'm sure all of you who live here in the Northern Hemisphere with me are getting really excited. I am finally ready to get in the fall gear now. In my last video, I was complaining that it was just too soon, but now that it's September and my kids are back in school and the weather is cooling down just a wee little bit and the late blooming hostas and sedums in my yard are all flowering, it finally feels like summer is truly done. So on my kids' first day of school, I switched out my little bit of seasonal decor in my house, and they were surprised to see everything looking different when they came home. For fall, I have a bit of a corn theme going on in my decor. I have a few really pretty cobs of Indian corn that I put around here and there, and then the wreath that I have on my front door has some little baby Indian corns on it. And of course, when I brought these things up from the basement, that just set off Tim singing that song from TikTok. It's cone, a big lump with knobs, and it's got the juice, it's got the juice. Yeah, anyway, I'm from Nebraska, and ever since we moved away, I just feel a little sentimental about corn. So, since autumn was well on its way, I quickly wrapped up stitching the little froggies I was working on as my last hurrah for summer. They are from this vintage pattern book, Forever Friends by Precious Moments. And here is the FFO. Aren't these guys adorable? I am so happy with how they turned out. They were so much fun to stitch and really fast too. I stitched these guys 2/2 on 28 count Monaco that I Rit dyed myself. And I purposely made the bottom half of the fabric a tiny bit mottled, so it sort of looks like their lily pad is floating on some water. The effect is pretty subtle, and I do think you can see it a little better in real life. But it was just a creative decision I made that was kind of fun, and I like how it turned out. Another creative decision I made was changing all of the colors from the pattern. I used DMC threads, but went with all of my own colors. Let me show you what the pattern looked like. Here it is. In the pattern, the frogs are sitting on a yellow-green lily pad, which I think looks kind of pukey, that color. And they had a yellow lily and a pink butterfly. So I changed out all the colors, including the colors for the frogs. I just wanted something that all went together. And now I have a prettier color of green for the lily pad and a pink, more lotus colored lily and a yellow butterfly. I did actually have a mishap with the colors of the backstitch. I was choosing between 2 shades of brown. And I made a decision and began stitching with one of them, and I got all the way around the lily pad and half of the flower, and then I set the cross stitch down, but I left the other color of brown on my desk. And when I came back, I accidentally picked up that color and stitched the rest of the flower and all of the little froggy before I noticed, uh-oh, this is not the color I chose. And also I was just really short on time because I was in my college classes at that point and I just do not have a lot of free time to stitch like I did before. And also I wanted to get this finished up by Labor Day. I did manage to FFO it on Labor Day, which was perfect timing. So I kind of looked at it and made the decision to stitch the froggies and the flowers in that other color. And then I stitched the butterfly in that brown. So that kind of ties together with the lily pad. And honestly, I think the butterfly does look better in that warmer brown and the froggies look a bit better in the cooler toned brown. So, I mean, you guys can't tell at all from looking on the video. It's only something you can see if you're looking for it up close in real life, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So yeah, that was like sort of a, anyway, so that was my experience stitching these guys up. They turned out super cute, and I just did a simple hoop finish with some fabric that I had in my fabric stash in my craft closet. So that's what the back looks like. And I'm super happy with these guys. They are so cute and they were so fun. So that was my latest FFO, but I also have a UFO to show you guys. For the first time ever, I am abandoning one of my cross-stitch projects and leaving it as an unfinished object. It's my temperature walk with me, you guys. I made too big of a mistake on here and there's just no going back. So let me show you. All of these paw prints on the side are stitched a few squares too low. What I did actually was make a mistake stitching in the road here, and then I oriented this paw print to the spot in the road instead of to this paw print across over here. So now all of these are just way too low for me to put in the cul-de-sac where it belongs. And that's just too many paw prints for me to pick out. I would have so many stretched out holes in the fabric, and just going back and pulling all the threads for the temperature of each of these days, I think that's about 2 months. It's just way too much, and I just can't do it. I most definitely don't have the time now, so that's the end for this piece. I'm just gonna drop it here. And honestly, I'm okay with that. It's kind of funny that this is the cross stitch I'm gonna give up because I am fiercely a cat person. I don't hate dogs, but I am a cat person, so it might as well be the dog cross stitch that I'm letting go of. And also I was a bit disappointed with how it was turning out anyway, because I chose to do the average temperatures of St. Petersburg, Florida, where my in-laws live, and the colors were turning out very repetitive. There was so much orange. It just wasn't looking good, and I wouldn't have been proud to give it to my in-laws. And it turns out that giving it to my in-laws would not have been so relevant anyway, probably because it seems they are looking into moving. This is something I shouldn't forget about my mother-in-law, but I just think I always do because I don't quite relate. And that is she is a rolling stone. In the 20 years I've known her, she has moved house 7 times. Sometimes for life reasons, and sometimes because she just gets the itch. She doesn't get really emotionally attached to her houses, and she's probably not too emotionally attached to St. Petersburg that I was stitching this for, so it's okay that I won't be giving her this gift. She and Dave are looking at houses in a different part of Florida, and that's that. So I guess this cross stitch just won't come to be, and that's all right. It is actually kind of nice to have at least one thing off of my plate. Anyways, my temperature butterflies are still coming along okay. So here they are. I am stitching my butterflies on 25 count black Lugana 1/1 with the brightest colors of DMC Light Effects and DMC Satin Flosses. And I finished up the August butterfly here. It turned out very green and pretty. And I started in on the September butterfly. And this butterfly is going to be interesting because it will be this shape for 30 days in the month. So that's a less common shape within the pattern. And also, September is sort of a transitional month as far as the season and the weather goes. So I'm sure the colors in this one are going to turn out very interesting. So they're already kind of interesting. At the beginning of the month, the temperature went back up and I stitched in this aqua blue color that is sort of at the higher end of my temperature scale. And unfortunately, one of these days was when we decided to go to the state fair and walk around outside for hours and hours. But anyways, the temperatures did come back down into the greens, and I even got a little patch of yellow right there. I believe the temperature on that day was 69 degrees. Nice. So I'm still going strong with my butterflies, and I love this piece to death. I also got a little bit of stitching done on my alphabet sampler. The pattern is A is for Ellipsis by Doreen Jones. And here's how it looks. Excuse the hoop mark in my fabric. Sorry about that. But I'm stitching this 2/2 on 32 count lime Lugana with all of the called for DMC, except I have the text in a dark green I picked out instead of black. Thanks, Mary Ellen. And most recently, I stitched in the words Queen, Rainbow, and then put in the crosses on the star. So next I get to backstitch in the star's cute little smiley face. And this month I will finish up this row of motifs I've started. Next up is a teapot, which is one of the cutest motifs in this entire piece. I'm so excited for the teapot. And then there's a colorful little umbrella. And then in October and November, I will finish up that very last row of letters and have a little bit of time left over in December to fully finish this into a cute tote bag that I'm going to fill up with kid books to give to my baby niece Rhea on her first Christmas. Rhea is 6 months old now and she's absolutely precious. Today, her mom, my sister-in-law Grace, sent me a little video clip of Rhea starting to crawl. She was doing that zombie move that babies do, just dragging herself across the floor with only her arms. It was really funny and cute, so go Rhea! I do want to apologize to you all for showing you these same couple of whips over and over again. I'm sure you are so bored seeing them all the time. I have really had a clunky time with cross stitch this year. Having these 3-year-long continuous projects, the butterflies, the walk with me, and the alphabet, it's really bogged me down. Next year, for sure, I will only have one temperature pattern and then do a nice variety of smaller projects. For sure, that will be so much more fun for me to stitch and more fun for you guys to see in my videos. Anyway, since the temperature walk with me is no more, I'm hoping to bring back this pattern. Through the Storms by Silver Creek Samplers. I started this last October in honor of my wedding anniversary, which is in October, and I was inspired by Stitch Again Sam, who has finished this one. And here is how far I've gotten. I have all the text stitched, but there's still a ways to go. I really do hope that I can finish this by the end of this year because the numbers on the pattern would just be so cool. Down here, you put in an anniversary date, and then in the puddle, you put in the current year. My anniversary date is 10/22/10. So it'd be cool to have that and then 2022 in the puddle. And then Tim and I will have been married for a dozen years. So it would just be neat and clean to have those be the dates on my finished project. But we'll see how it goes. I do have several other craft projects planned that I have to do in addition to all the schoolwork I have going on. It's pretty life-changing. That said, cross stitch is not actually going to be my main crafting priority for a while. Instead, I've got to be cranking out those caterpillar plushies that I'm knitting for charity. I figured out that if I finish 2 this month and then finish 5 each in October, November, and December, I'll actually make my goal of 25. And I know I can totally do that. I actually sat down with my calendar and figured out which days I'm going to dedicate to making each one. And since I have a plan and believe in myself, I'm feeling really psyched about it. Also, I have to sew my kids' Halloween costumes. It is the labor of love I do every year. It's my tradition, but this year will be different because I'm starting early. Next week, I will be off to the fabric store and starting sewing ASAP. Usually, I just dedicate all of October to sewing costumes, but since I'm so busy with college, I'm gonna have to pace myself. My kids want to be Pokemon this year, by the way. Sylvia wants to dress up as a Sylveon, and Glenn wants to dress up as an Umbreon, which are both evolutions. I also have some crafting haul that I'm super excited about. It's not cross-stitch, and it's not even here yet, but I still just want to tell you about it just for fun. I found the most gorgeous quilt. The design is called Hope Blooms, and I found it on shabbyfabrics.com. And they have the kit marked down from $98 to $74.50. So I snagged it. I actually have really picky taste when it comes to quilts, mostly because they're a lot of work to sew. But I love everything about this one. I think it's so beautiful and it will really fit into my autumn decor someday. So I just had to buy it on sale, even though there's no chance I'm gonna get to work on it at all until next summer probably, but I am just in love with it, so I wanted to tell you about it, and if any of you guys are quilters out there, maybe you'd like it too. Anyway, I keep mentioning how college has taken over my life, but I must say, it's going absolutely great for me so far. And I just have to thank you all for being so encouraging to me. When I announced in my last video that I was going back to school, you all left me the nicest comments, and you were also excited for me, which was really surprising. And it really changed my attitude because before I read what you all had to say, I was really just kind of tiptoeing into this whole thing. I'm only 3 weeks into my first semester, and I've already learned so much about polysomnography, which is the field that I'm working towards getting into, and about sleep and just the complexities of everything it does for our bodies and how life-changing and even life-saving it is for people to have their sleep disorders treated, and how society would change if we all just slept more the way we should. It's fascinating. And polysomnography, that field of medicine, is relatively new, and it's still developing and advancing, and it's only going to change and positively impact more and more people. It's amazing. And it's funny because I'm not a sciencey bitch, all right? I've always been an arts and humanities bitch, and I've never really been that inspired to work in the medical field, honestly. But damn, if polysomnography isn't interesting. If I were to ever somehow have a niche in science and medicine, I guess this would be it. Although, that said, college is a full load for me right now. I am taking 16 credit hours this semester, and so they're all online classes. I only have one polysom class that I have to go to in person once a week, but everything else is online asynchronous. And there's advantages and disadvantages to that. The main advantage, of course, is the flexibility. I am perfectly happy and disciplined enough to do all of my coursework on my own time at home. And honestly, I'm relieved to not have to drive into Minneapolis all the time to go to school. I'm going to the Minneapolis Community and Technical College, by the way, and it turns out that it is a beautiful college. The buildings and amenities are fancy. I was surprised. And it also happens to be on the edge of Loring Park in Minneapolis, which is just beautiful. Loring Park is to Minneapolis what Central Park is to New York. It is a big, beautiful place in a gorgeous part of the city, and next door to Loring Park is the Minneapolis Sculpture Garden. That's where the super famous cherry on a spoon lives. And since I've moved to Minnesota, I've visited Loring Park and the Sculpture Garden a handful of times and loved them, never knowing that I would be going to school right there. But dang, am I happy to not have to drive down there all the time and fight city traffic. Another advantage of online classes is it gave me a reason to buy myself a new laptop. Here it is. Isn't it cute? It's just an 11.6 inch. Most people these days want these humongous fancy laptops, but I just wanted a little baby one. So that's what I got. And I love it. It's just a joy for me to use. This is the inside, and it's got a touch screen, which is fancy, but I still got myself this mouse to use with it. It's a cat-shaped mouse. I'm an adult. I can have what I want. Anyway, Tim's desktop computer has been the only computer we've had in the house for several years now. I've really fallen away from using the computer at all. I do everything on a tablet or my phone, but it's still pretty thrilling to have my own PC again. Now, what bugs me about online learning isn't the lack of human contact or having to basically teach myself everything. It's the busy work, or at least to me, it's busy work. In a school setting in particular, my brain is just really absorbent. In a traditional college class, I could go and listen to the professor's lecture and understand and remember pretty much everything. I've always been a student who's gotten by taking very few notes, and I've always had a pretty good grasp of a concept before doing the homework assignments meant to practice it. So in these online classes, what happens is you have the same information delivered to you repeatedly in different formats. And of course, the intention of that is to help you learn on your own by giving it to you in different ways that you may understand. And of course, it's also to make you put an effort to the class so you earn the credit. So I am just doing these modules where I'm doing different reading and then videos and then little homework or typing assignments, all on the exact same snippets of information. And I just don't personally need that in order to learn. So it's very tedious. And it's also very time consuming, which frustrates me because I have better ways to spend my time, frankly. And another thing that frustrates me is that I'm taking a big chunk of gen eds right now. So thankfully, this is temporary, but they contain a lot of stuff that I've learned already, and also they happen to have a lot of overlapping information. In my general psychology class, we just did a unit on sleep. And guess what my polysomnography classes are all about? And then I have biomedical terminology and human biology. What do they go over? The organs of the body. So I am doing a bunch of assignments over the exact same stuff for two separate classes. And it is so boring and frustrating. It makes me want to tear my hair out. But I'm absolutely not going to dwell on my qualms about online classes because I'm just so grateful to be going back to college. And I am really psyched about this path that I've put myself on. And honestly, I still really love being a student. I enjoyed school so much when I was young, and I still enjoy it. It is so nice to know that my brain hasn't atrophied. Learning is still easy and it still feels good. It's just really nice. And even though it's taking place mostly at home, it is nice to be a student again because it gets me a bit out of my bubble. I am doing something different than I've done for a really long time now. So this is just really great for me. And even though a lot of my hours in the day are taken up, now that Glenn and Sylvia are in school, I do have those hours available to invest in this and still have a bit of time left over to do the things that I need to do around the house and the things I want to do with my hobbies. It's all going to be okay. Speaking of juggling my time, I just have to mention how happy I am with myself, I guess, for how I handled those 2 weeks where I had started school, but Glenn and Sylvia had not. They had 2 weeks left of their summer vacation, and I really mustered the energy to make those 2 weeks count. One of the days was the absolute perfect day to go kite flying. The sky was clear blue and sunny, and it was really blustery outside. It kind of felt like being back in Nebraska with a prairie wind. It's not nearly as windy up here, but that day was just perfect to get out in a wide open field and fly some kites. So that's what we did. I took the kids to a field that is in our neighborhood that's actually quite hilly. And I set each kid up on their own separate hill so their kites wouldn't get tangled. They brought their dinky little cheap kites that we'd bought a while ago at Five Below, but they were diamond kites, which are always pretty easy to fly. So they worked out great and they're flying their kites. And like I said, it was super windy that day, so it was really easy to keep them up in the air, but I still ended up getting a bit of exercise running up and down each hill to help the kids get their kites back in the air the few times they did drop. And the kids loved flying their kites. They had a blast, and I am really grateful that they enjoyed it as much as they did because this is the modern age and kite flying is a very simple pleasure, So it was just precious to me that my kids enjoyed it as much as they did. And I think that's going to be a good memory that all of us are going to keep. And I took the kids to several playgrounds around our area, and we brought Calcifer, our bearded dragon, with us several times, and the playgrounds happened to be crowded with kids a lot of the time. I mean, that's to be expected during the summer. So Calcifer was a model beardy ambassador. She had several kids petting her, and I got to tell them a bit, and their parents too, a bit about what bearded dragon pet ownership is like. And that was really fun. And Sylvia especially was really proud to show other kids the beardy and talk about what it's like to have a bearded dragon as a pet. So I don't know, that was just a fun little experience we got to have a couple times in those couple weeks. And of course, our big adventure was going to the Minnesota State Fair. The Minnesota State Fair is overwhelming. Seriously, it is so big. There's just so much, and it's super crowded too. And we had so much fun that day. We went on several rides. We saw lots of animals. We saw lots of beautiful crafts. We did some shopping, and we ate tons of magnificent junk food, as you do at a fair. It was the greatest day. We all had so much fun. Glenn and Sylvia were in ecstasy. It was just the best day for them, and I'm just so glad we were able to like squeak that in at the last minute of their summer vacation. It was wonderful. But I did come out of that day with opinions. The Minnesota State Fair is humongous, and it is nationally, if not internationally, famous. People love the Minnesota State Fair. The Iowa State Fair is sort of its rival. It's not as big, but it is still pretty huge as far as state fairs go, and it is nationally, if not internationally, famous. And I have been to both state fairs, each once in my life. And I must say, I preferred the Iowa State Fair. The Minnesota State Fair, we went to the fair without planning ahead. We just went there to see what we could see. And what there is to see is quite a bit of ticky-tacky, I must say. I hate to say that, but I mean, it's true. Like, there's one company that owns 20 of the exact same corn dog stand throughout the park, you know? So you just see the same sort of chain food booths and souvenir booths over and over again. And you have to spend a lot of energy walking through all of that to try to find the really cool things. And the rides and activities that we happened to find weren't that unique. I'm sure experiences that are unique to the Minnesota State Fair are there, but it was a bit tough for us to find those because there is just so much of that ticky-tacky. And it is so dang crowded there too. It just is a lot of walking through crowds and past stuff that you've seen before. It is tiring. And I also, years ago, went to the Iowa State Fair, and I went there without a plan. I was just there to see what I would find. And I must say that I just had a more unique experience there. I found better, more interesting foods to eat. I found better like activities and things to see. I sat on these two panels where there were lectures done, fun lectures, not like school lectures, but like fun lectures done by wildlife rescues where they showed some of ambassador animals. That was really fun. And I saw so many cool critters, and it was easy to figure out where each animal that you were interested in looking at, you know, like where they were located. So I got to visit beautiful horses, and like the craft places were more organized and just easier to navigate so you could see what you really wanted to see. And it was very crowded there, but less crowded. It wasn't such a chore to get from place to place. I just had a better, more unique experience at the Iowa State Fair. There is technically less there because it's not as big, but what is there overall is more consistently just more unique and better quality. I can say 100% the food that I had at the Iowa State Fair was better than the food I had at the Minnesota State Fair. You know, it's not to say that really good stuff isn't there to be had at Minnesota State, but that place just really does require planning ahead in order to get the most out of it. That's just how it is. So anyway, I just find the Iowa State Fair just more accessible for finding the really meaningful stuff. So my opinion is that the Iowa State Fair is better. I said what I said, so don't kill me. So let me just segue away from my controversial opinion and just reiterate how pleased I am with how those last 2 weeks of my kids' summer vacation went. I'm just happy with myself for sticking with my gut and keeping myself in the summer spirit so I could just make those good times with my family happen. But I was at the same time getting acclimated to college, and everything together just about killed me. I got super sleep deprived in those 2 weeks, and this past week was finally my kids' first week back at school, and I had time in the day to myself to focus on my coursework, and it's been a huge relief. But it's also still been a lot. So I guess I still need to figure out what my new rhythm's going to be. And I also guess that means I can't really tell you when my next Flosstube video is going to be, unfortunately. But I promise I'll be back. In fact, I guarantee it because I love you guys. You all are my buddies, and I'm just so glad that you guys are even interested in what I have to share about my life and my crafts and stitching and stuff. So next time I come back, I promise I will have something cool to show you and to talk about. But in the meantime, of course, God loves you and I love you, and happy stitching. Bye-bye.